Yeah. Ah, what a difference an extra half hour gets you when the Phillies don't play at 10:10. They play at 9:40. And it's a much better outcome. Welcome into the show. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Just lovely to have you along for the ride. Oh, my goodness gracious. I knew we had football to talk about today. We're going to talk about football today. I'm excited to talk about football today. I'm excited to talk about the Eagles preseason game number 1 and whether or not these starters will play it all tonight. I think it's all weather permitting. Well, was the way that's going to go. Like I said, the Phillies did get that win, and we have even more football to talk about because Nick Foles decided to call it a career in the NFL through about a 2-minute and 30-second announcement via social media. Nick Foles decided to hang it up, shouting out every team he played for, but especially the Philadelphia Eagles for obvious reasons. I look back on Nick Foles' career, and we all know the greatest thing that's ever happened in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles, at least in the Super Bowl era. I want to give props to the 3-time world champion Philadelphia Eagles. But we'd all been waiting for that Super Bowl. And Nick Foles beat Tom Brady. And I will stick by this no matter how much my dear friend Trey Thomas wants to disagree with me on it. Nick Foles outdueled Tom Brady. Now, did Tom Brady have like the greatest stats ever in the history of the Super Bowl against Jim Schwartz? Yeah, absolutely he did. But he didn't win. And if you're talking about outdueling anybody, who was the last man standing? It was Nick Foles. I know Brandon Graham with the strip sack and just how insane that game was in total. But think about not only the cojones of Nick Foles going into that game and winning, but during the course of the game, calling his own number. You want Philly? It will go down in history. And I'll never forget in that moment when they ran that play, being in Minnesota, being on the production truck, one of the many for a Super Bowl, and the way we were seated, it was 3 Philly people. Me, and then up to my right was my buddy Kevin Brown. Down the corridor to my left. Yeah, there's a corridor on that truck. Down the corridor to my left was my buddy Jake Sondheim. And I remember that play happened. We all contained ourselves because we're professionals, but there was a little like, that was incredible. For the people on the podcast, I was just making an incredible surprise shock face while I was making those sounds. Anyway, and I think about Nick Foles' career. I think about that moment, and I think about the craziest career maybe in the history of the NFL. You're talking about the 27-2 season. You're talking about winning a Super Bowl MVP, and then the following year, Alshon Jeffrey makes that catch, and there's no doubt in my mind the Eagles go to the Super Bowl again. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that the momentum that they were building, they win another playoff game to get to the Super Bowl. Zero doubt in my mind. And the ball went right through Alshon Jeffrey's hands in the big, not so easy against the Saints. I'll never forget it. And I also think about this one particular thing. Nick Foles' rookie year, Michael Vick, playing under Andy Reid, the year following his incredible MVP-esque season, Michael Vick. And Michael Vick hurt his hand in training camp and barely played, if he played at all, in the preseason. And I remember Nick Foles played the preseason. Nick Foles looked great. And I was like, all right, I know it's only preseason, but young guy, Mike Vick, he's not getting any younger. Why don't we give him a couple extra weeks to get healthy with that hand? And Vic actually ended up winning a couple games, if I'm not mistaken, that early in that season, and then things kind of went off the rails. And then I just remember thinking, as Nick Foles' career progressed, I remember thinking, what if he just kept playing? What if he didn't have to have that long layoff? And I think he came in late in the season. He won a game in Tampa against Mike Glennon and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He ran over to Andy Reid because we talk about that Philly special play, rightfully so, all the time. It's certainly not the first time that Nick Foles has called a play. In that game, I believe it was his first win as a starting quarterback in the NFL. He ran over to Andy Reid, and he called the play where Jeremy Maclin ran to the corner of the end zone, a sprint out, and he delivered. Called the play, ran the play, executed the play. Eagles won the game. And then, of course, under Chip Kelly, Vic gets benched, or Vic gets hurt. He sits. Foles comes in, the 27-2 season. They lose to the Saints, those dreaded Saints, in the playoffs. But what an incredible year that was. 7 touchdowns against the Raiders. This is all pretty incredible stuff. And then he goes to St. Louis. All of a sudden, gets traded, and he's terrible in St. Louis. He ends up going fishing, saying he's going to retire, ends up talking to the Chiefs, Doug Peterson and Andy Reid. They want him to come to Kansas City. All right, I'll go to Kansas City. Goes to Kansas City, actually plays really well. In the 3 games that he played, the vast majority of them, he won 2 of them. And then he gets another chance here in Philadelphia, and he comes back to Philly. And they win a Super Bowl. I mean, I look back on Nick Foles' career. There's only one person that is at all comparable in terms of looks like the greatest quarterback ever in the history of quarterbacks, or greatest player in the history of players in that position in that sport. And then what does he do after that? Nothing. Nothing. There's one player that jumps to mind, and I could give you a million guesses. You'll never get it. Maybe you've heard me say it before. Brian Boucher. Like Brian Boucher, I'm pretty sure still holds the record. If he doesn't anymore, he held it for a long time, of most consecutive shutouts, like in the NHL. He's got some pretty substantial rookie record for goals against average. The incredible year he had with the Flyers when he was just coming up as a rookie, absolutely incredible. In 2010, when he was back with the Flyers, another 2-stint athlete in Philadelphia, comes back to the Flyers, has an incredible run in the playoffs, gets hurt. Michael Leighton comes in. They still go to the finals. Just these spurts of greatness. Brian Boucher, and then the spurt of ultimate greatness in Nick Foles. I remember when he was drafted, and I was working with that Sunday Night Football crew, and there was one person in particular I got to talk to, a source, that I would see in my travels that was really in with the Eagles. And I remember them telling me at the time, and Russell Wilson was making his name for himself in Seattle his rookie year. And Nick Foles was just drafted in the same draft, same round. And their feeling about Nick Foles is, oh, this guy's the future. Oh, this guy's the future. And I remember that certainly played into my previous thought I shared with you. I was like, if they really think this guy's the future, then get him out there. Because Michael Vick ain't the future. Let's get the future going. Let's get that going as soon as humanly possible. And then I remember from that point on, Michael Vick was turning the football over at an alarming rate, and I was begging for Nick Foles to get back into the games and all that stuff. And that didn't happen until later in the season, but they weren't much better either in that stretch, unfortunately. But I just remember Jeffrey Lurie having a very high opinion of him. Andy Reid, of course, having a very high opinion of him. Nick shouted out many times during the Super Bowl run that Doug Peterson was the only coach that went out and actually worked him out pre-draft. It's pretty special. And they had a relationship ever since. And obviously a trust. If you want to talk about a guy coming out there and telling him, hey, you want Philly, Philly? Yeah, let's do it. And they do it. Shout out to Dave Didinger, Ray Didinger's son, who, if you don't know, is a cameraman and he's awesome, just a great dude. And he's the one that, of all people, a Philly guy, got the audio. He was on top of it, man. All the distractions that could happen in a Super Bowl. I mean, distractions, other totally plausible things that you could be doing. And he gets the audio of Nick Foles running over to Doug Peterson. Love that he's going to retire as a Philadelphia Eagle. And I look back on his career and I just smile. And I also think, yeah, there could have been, for all the things he did do, the 7-touchdown game, 27-2, winning the Super Bowl, there still could have been more. And that's not to say like, oh, once he won the Super Bowl, they should have cut Carson Wentz and just went with Nick Foles. No, I think that would have been crazy because we all know that Nick Foles has this sort of pumpkin that all of a sudden turns into a carriage, and then all of a sudden it's back to a pumpkin, and he's missing a cleat. So that kind of would have been bonkers. But the role that he played for the Eagles is, all right, you need me to come in here and be awesome for like 6 games? Done. He was almost awesome again in that divisional round playoff game against the New Orleans Saints where the ball went right through Alshon Jeffrey's hands. Damn it. I was trying to think about it yesterday. I meant to double check it, but was that the same year as the quadruple doink? Did we lose both those in the same fashion, like heartbreaking fashion? I think we did. One awesome memory, speaking of Carson Wentz and Nick Foles, one memory that I will have forever is being right in front of that stage in Minneapolis when they were presenting the trophy, and the very famous shot of Nick Foles holding the trophy up and all that. Right before that, Carson Wentz and Nick Foles were on stage, as were Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie and Doug Peterson and a couple other Eagles. And I'll never forget Nick Foles talking to Carson Wentz, and I could only imagine, and he was like patting him on the shoulder. I can only imagine Nick Foles like, you're going to be up here as the MVP. You're going to be up here doing this, and this is just the first of many. Blah blah blah. Like, probably what he was saying to him, and I just remember looking at it and be like, wow, what a weird situation. One guy is the MVP of the league if he doesn't get hurt in Carson Wentz, and the other guy is winning the Super Bowl. The thing is, as great as Carson Wentz was that year, forget about even just Carson Wentz. Any Super Bowl winning quarterback in the history of Super Bowl winning quarterbacks might not beat Nick Foles that day. Probably don't beat Nick Foles that day because he was damn near perfect. He threw an interception technically, but it bounced around a little bit off Alshon Jeffrey and the defensive back. I forget who it was that picked it off, but he played flawless football. Other than that, flawless football, creative football, clutch football, and beat the best. Beat Tom Brady, beat Bill Belichick. Shortly after the Super Bowl, I was honored to be a part of NFL Films' top 10 Eagles of all time. I got to be in an episode of that. It was awesome. And at the end of it, they said, does Nick Foles deserve to be in the top 10? And I didn't expect them to ask me. Like, I knew of the 10 players that they had, their NFL writers had selected. And then at the end of it, they kind of ask you to argue. And I'm like, argue with NFL Films? Are you crazy? How sacrilegious is that? But they do that. And then they also say, like, does Nick Foles deserve? They asked me, does Nick Foles deserve? They asked everybody, does Nick Foles deserve to be on that list? And in the moment, I was like, oh, come on, he can't be on the list. And it was one of those situations where afterwards I was driving home and I was like, he absolutely should be on the list. Nick Foles, when you really think about it, is the greatest quarterback the Philadelphia Eagles have ever had. Let it sink in. I'm not kidding. This isn't a hot take. This is Nick Foles, statement of fact, is the greatest quarterback the Eagles have ever had. Now, if you've listened to me for a while, you understand that there's the best and then there's the greatest. What do I always say? The greatest. The greatest, there are no ifs. There is only what is. There are no ifs. There's only what is. Hey, if Donovan got that number 1 wide receiver earlier, if Donovan had it better between the ears earlier in his career and later in his career with T.O., and Andy Reid, if Andy Reid was a better play caller later in games and better at clock management and used the running backs he had wiser, if this, if that, then maybe we're talking about Donovan in that regard. But we're not. If Jalen goes on to win a Super Bowl, then we're talking about Jalen Hurts as the greatest. But ifs and nuts, you know what I mean? Ifs and buts, excuse me. But Nick Foles went out and did it. Oh, you can't say he's the greatest? Why? Because the other guys tried harder for longer and failed more? How could you be the greatest if you've never been great? if you never did the great thing. He absolutely, Nick Foles absolutely deserves to be on 10 greatest Eagles of all time. He did the thing and was great in the moment. It wasn't like the defense won the game. It was like a 17-13 win. You know, it wasn't like that. Jeez. Oh. And it was fleeting. I understand greatness shouldn't be fleeting, but pretty fleeting, unfortunately. A Super Bowl champion and then gone in a flash. Could have been a 2-time Super Bowl champion if Alshon would have caught the ball. Nick Foles yesterday, if you didn't see it, here's a portion of his speech.
It's crazy to be in this moment, looking at this camera, officially announcing my retirement from the NFL. From the first day I was born, my dad put a football in my hand. He must have known something, because that became a dream of mine since I've been a kid, to play in the NFL, and I will be forever grateful for that. It's been such a special privilege to play for Philadelphia, St. Louis, Kansas City, Jacksonville, Chicago, and Indianapolis. To the fans of the NFL around the world, thank you for making the game so special. Y'all are the ones that bring the energy in the stadiums. Thank you. Specifically, thank you to the Philadelphia Eagles fans. Thank you for all your support from 2012 when I was drafted to 2017 when I came back. You truly made playing in Philadelphia the most special experience in my football career. To all the coaches.
And he retires as an Eagle, the way it should be. The way it should be. Eagles have released a number of things. September 16th, by the way, Monday night, September 16th, the Eagles home opener against the Falcons. That's when he will officially retire as a Philadelphia Eagle. Pretty spectacular. I don't know if I've ever told you guys this, but right after the Super Bowl, so every year, every game for Sunday Night Football, we would give the player of the game of football, player of the game, Sunday Night Football, And we had one guy that would run it out. They were with Michelle Tafoya. And after the interview, he would give, or right before the interview, he'd give the football, the player of the game football, to Nick Foles or whoever it would be. So the Super Bowl happens. The Eagles win the Super Bowl. And the guy that gives out the football to the player of the game, I see walking towards me. And he hands me a football. And I go, "Oh, that's cool, man." And he goes, "No, turn it around." So I turn it around, and it's still like wrapped in plastic. And I go, "Oh, wow, it's awesome." It says, Super Bowl 52, player of the game, And I'm like, "Oh, that's really cool." And I hand it back to him. He goes, "No, man, keep it." And I go, "What?" And he goes, "They got the Lombardi trophy and the MVP trophy. Do you think they care about this football?" So if I ever meet up with Nick Foles, I think I might have to give him the football back. I might not back, but give it to him in general. I still have it. I do have it. It's in a very safe place, and it's one of my most treasured items for the time being. Just keeping it warm for Nick until we meet up, hang out, whatever. Nick Foles, Monday, September 16th, home opener, official, retire as a Philadelphia Eagle. What a wild career, man. One of the things that we did talk about a lot with Nick Foles with last year, and this jumped to mind yesterday as well, the end of the 2017 season, right before the Super Bowl, Nick Foles was playing like ass. Like the clock was striking midnight faster than it usually strikes midnight. And I'll never forget, Nick Foles never wavered. And this is true. This happened. He was playing terrible. Nate Sudfeld played well against the Cowboys in a meaningless game at the end of the year. I mean, it meant something to the Cowboys. And people were like, well, maybe Nate Sudfeld. Maybe Nate Sudfeld should play. Maybe Nate Sudfeld should play in the playoffs. Maybe we go with Nate Sudfeld. So fortunately, that didn't happen. Eagles beat the Falcons. Eagles destroy the Vikings. And the Eagles win the Super Bowl. Now, I will say for the record, when Carson Wentz went down in Los Angeles, I did not lose all faith in the Eagles. And I remember I was at WIP at the time, and Angelo and Rhea were in Los Angeles. Me and Al Morgani were back in Philadelphia. And Angelo gets on the mic, and Angelo, sky is falling. And look, I get it. A lot of people were like that. Sky is falling. It's over. It's terrible. We're done. Blah, blah, blah. And me and Al were talking before the show. Like, we don't think, I was like, I don't think they're done. And Al was like, I don't think they're done, Fonzarelli. And so, we were talking about it. And then Angelo goes to us back in Philly in the studio, and we're like, we don't feel terrible about this. Like, getting to this, like winning the Super Bowl, that certainly takes a little bit of hit as far as confidence goes. But as far as the season being over, they only got to win a couple more games and they win the number 1 seed. And you could do that with Nick Foles, who can win and has won and has been playing played better football when he came in emergency situations for the Chiefs the previous year. You have a stacked defense. The Eagles have one of the best defenses in the league. You never know it from the Super Bowl performance, but they did. So all they had to do was maintain. And they had good wide receivers. They had Alshon Jeffrey before he was dropping balls. They had Torrey Smith. They had one hell of a running game with LeGarrette Blount and Jay Ajayi. They had a hell of an offensive line. All they had to do was not turn the football over, and they were going to win games. And they didn't turn the football over. They won games. They clinched the number 1 spot, and they won the Super Bowl. But I remember not losing faith because Carson was out, I still had a lot of confidence the Eagles would at least make it to the Super Bowl. Yeah. Nick Foles, man. BDN. While we're on football, let's keep it with football before we get to your Philadelphia Phillies and what went on last night in Arizona against the hottest team in baseball, the Arizona Diamondbacks. Tonight, Philadelphia Eagles will be kicking off against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, let's get down to brass tacks. Are the starters playing? If rain is in the forecast, which it is, it's supposed to be raining in Philadelphia, it's supposed to be raining in Baltimore, and then tomorrow is actually supposed to be lovely. With rain going on, I do not expect the starters to play. Maybe game 2, they get out there for a little bit, but as of right now, I do not see the starters playing tonight. So what are we looking for? Either way, your right guard position is the biggest battle on the offensive side of the football right now. Tyler Steen, Mekhi Becton, those guys are going to get their opportunity to play tonight and see what kind of level they play at. Cam Jurgens might even get out there to get some snaps under his belt as far as the starting center goes. But as far as Jalen Hurts, I would be shocked if I saw him suit up tonight if the weather remains what it's supposed to be, which is raining. So right guard will certainly be a position of need, or should be a position of attention tonight. Defensive backs, how the Eagles will be deploying their defensive backs tonight. Where Quentin Mitchell's at, obviously where Isaiah Rodgers is at, safety positions, Avonte Maddox being back in that spot. I really am curious to see how Vic Fangio and this Eagles coaching staff and the Eagles in general with Howie Roseman, all that, how they use their running backs, defensive backs tonight, and see how they get out there and play. Linebackers as well. I mean, most of my questions have to do with the defense anyway. So I want to see how the linebackers go out there. If Devin White's even going to play tonight, which I would doubt. When Vic Fangio talked about it earlier in the week, he always said that his players want to play. His experience has been football players want to play football. And that includes the preseason. I would love for every opportunity to be available for these guys to be able to go out there tonight and play. Weather-wise, which is something that Nick Sirianni stressed, which is why I'm stressing it, I don't think that's going to lend itself to the Eagles actually having any starters out there. So that's the way I see that playing out. And I do think that at some point in the preseason, Jalen needs to have Kellen Moore in his ear while he's on the field, and I think he needs to have that rapport with Cam Jurgens. Jurgens and Jalen need to get on the same page. I think the only way that really happens is if they get playing time together in the preseason. And then defensively speaking, as I mentioned, defensive back, linebackers, be interested to see how all that plays out. But that's going to be going on tonight, 7:30 kickoff in Baltimore against the Ravens. And then they go and they have a joint practice with the Patriots. And then they play on Thursday of next week. I believe it is against the Patriots. Yeah, Thursday. After a quick week of joint practice with the Patriots. So that's what you're looking at with your Philadelphia Eagles tonight. Let's get to your Phillies. Last night, the Phillies started a 4-game series in Arizona against the Diamondbacks. They had Colby Allard on the hill. I didn't know what to expect out of Colby Allard, but 5 innings of 1-run baseball, hell yeah, fella. 3 double plays induced last night when you needed them the most. Pretty special. Weston Wilson just missing a 3-run double in the early goings of the ball game. Oh, I felt like the baseball gods were frowning upon us. Between Brandon Marsh making the catch in center field in Seattle, for incredible that was, to Brandon Marsh not getting to that ball off the bat of Teoscar Hernandez in Game 3 against the Dodgers, I thought the good juju was going away just when we were building it up. But guess what? Good juju is still coming. Because as that game went on last night, the Phillies got stronger and stronger. The bullpen was a little shaky. Ryan Kirker again. Make me a little nervous there, fella. But the Phillies just pulled focus last night when they needed to pull focus. And talking about Colby Allard, I don't know why I keep going to call him Kevin, but Colby Allard, first inning, gives up back-to-back singles. Then he gets Bell to ground at a 4-6-3 double play. Second inning, Grichuk leads off with a single. Suarez then steps up. He grounds at a 6-4-3 double play. Fifth inning, Suarez hits a home run. You're down 5-0. You're thinking, oh boy, Colby Allard's losing it. Gives up a couple of more hits, back-to-back singles as well. Then he gets Herrera to ground at a 6-4-3 twin, killing. 3 double plays when you needed them big time, and he got out of a jam. And I've never heard a color analyst sound like he was panicking more than Ruben Amaro Jr. right out of the gate when it came to trouble in the 5th inning. He gave up the home run to Suarez. They gave up the back-to-back. You got to get somebody up right now. Jose Ruiz needs to hurry up. And then bing, bang, boom. Colby Allard goes out there and gets the 6-4-3 double play. Gets out of that jam. And do I think the clock was striking midnight on him as well? Oh, yeah, I think it was. Could you have gotten one more inning out of him? Maybe, but I didn't want to kick the tires on it. You know what I mean? I didn't want to check. So they got him out in the 5th inning. And the Phillies rewarded by going out there in the top of the 6th inning and making offense happen. Now, I mentioned earlier that Weston Wilson had some bad luck on his side. 4th inning, scoreless ball game. Bone leads off with a double to left center field, just off the top of the wall. He just missed a home run. JT Realmuto stepped up. He flew out to right field. He got 1 out. Then Castellanos goes up there. He gets an intentional walk. Nick Castellanos, who already had a hit earlier in the ball game. Sosa goes up there, gets the infield, single to first, beating Montgomery to the bag. So now you got a situation here. Bases loaded, 1 out. Weston Wilson steps up to the plate. Just misses a 3-run double down the left field line. When I watched it in real time, I went, oh my God, that's on the line. That's awesome. The Phillies run like it hit the line. They review it. Review is upheld. The Phillies review it unofficially. They look at the replay and say, no, we're not doing it again because it was foul. And they show the replay of it. And if there's maybe half a blade of turf between the ball and the line, that's saying way too much. It was the closest it could possibly be without being fair. So Weston Wilson gets snake bit on that. In the same at bat, Weston Wilson gets rung up on a fastball low and inside. That was inside. It was well off the plate, and he was rung up by home plate umpire Derek Thomas. So snake bit twice for Weston Wilson. He ends up striking out. Could have had a 3-run double. Could have been up 3-0. Instead, you get nothing. And Weston Wilson has to sit down. After Weston Wilson sits down, Johan Rojas comes up, flies out to center field. Just like that, the Phillies got nada. Go into the bottom of the 5th inning, Suarez steps up there, gets the solo home run down the left field line on a cut fastball, puts it off the pole in left field, and they're down 1-0. 6th inning, this is where the Phillies get some good mojo. Realmuto starts things off by grounding out to second base. Montgomery had his second pitch timer violation at that at bat, as a matter of fact, now that I think about it. Realmuto starts it off with a ground out to short. Castellanos gets hit by the pitch. Stop hitting Casty. He's red hot. Please stop hitting that man. Sosa goes up there, lines out to third, hits the ball in the screws, but lines out to third. Then Weston Wilson comes up to the plate, gets a changeup, puts it off the wall in left field for an RBI double. Phillies are on the board. Weston Wilson at least gets one RBI out of this. He brings home Nick Castellanos. It's a tie ball game, 1-1. Rojas then works a 5-pitch walk against Montgomery. Montgomery couldn't locate his fastball or his changeup in the at-bat. 5-pitch walk to, or the plate appearance. 5-pitch walk to Rojas. First and second, 2 outs. Schwarber walks up there. He gets a walk. He was down in the count 0-2. Montgomery loses him, throwing 4 straight balls. Schwarber works the walk. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Montgomery goes out. Floro comes in. Right-handed pitcher to face Trey Turner. Trey Turner gets the big hit of the game. A 2-run single to left field, stayed on top of a 1-1 slider, and was able to put that into the outfield for a 2-run single. It's now a 3-1 game. Bryce Harper gets in on the action, gets his second hit of the night. He went on to have a 3-hit night. Harper goes up there, gets an RBI single and a 3-2 count, makes it a 4-1 game. Orion Kirkering comes in for the bottom of the 6th inning. He walks Marte. He was up in the count 1-2 and lost him. Marte, to his credit, fouled away 4 balls. Then Jake McCarthy steps up there, gets the 2-run home run on a hanging sweeper that he belted out of the ballpark nearly 400 feet. It's a 4-3 game, so you only have a 1-run lead now. Phillies maintain the course. They get an extra run there with an RBI double with Edmundo Sosa. They get a home run there from JT Realmuto in the 7th. He was down in that count 0-2. Fouled away 3 pitches, and then got a slider at the top of the zone. And he belted that one 430 feet to center field for a home run to make it a 5-3 game. And then Edmundo Sosa added another one with an RBI double on a 2-2 fastball that he put into the corner. Bringing around JT Realmuto, who led off the inning with a double. So other than Allard last night, other than Weston Wilson, other than Bryce Harper, other than Trey Turner, like everybody hitting. Like, look at this from last night. This is the box score from last night's game. For the people on the podcast, I'm putting the box score up. Kyle Schwarber, multi-hit game. Bryce Harper, 3-hit game. JT Realmuto, Eddie Sosa, Weston Wilson, multi-hit games. 14 hits for the Phils in last night's victory. Keep in mind, the Arizona Diamondbacks going into last night's game and not only won 8 of 10, but they had won 12 of 14. For those keeping track, the Phillies had not won 12 of 14. The Phillies had been god-awful, but thanks to Brandon Marsh's miraculous catch in center field against the Mariners, holy Stromboli, the Phillies, the best team in baseball. Game and a half up on the Guardians, Orioles, and Yankees, all American League teams, and unfortunately all teams that spanked the Phillies in their head-to-head matchups. 3 games over the Dodgers, 3.5 over the Brew Crew, 5 games over the Minnesota Twins, 5.5 over the Padres, and Royals, 6.5 over the Arizona Diamondbacks, looking to expand that. And holy pots and pans. Just like that, the Atlanta Braves sink down to 3rd place in the NL East. The New York Metropolitans won last night. They won 9-1 over the Colorado Rockies. The Atlanta Braves got destroyed against the Milwaukee Brewers, 16-7. Can we take a gander at that Brave series real quick with that team there, the Brewers? The Brewers won game 1, 10-0. The Brewers won game 2, 8-5. 8 runs? 18 runs in the first 2 games by Braves pitching. Hold my beer for the Brewers. 16 runs in their last game of the 3-game series. That's not bad. Charlie Morton, by the way, started the game for the Braves last night. 8 earned runs in 2 2/3 innings of work. Whit Merrifield did have a hit, so his batting average is up to an incredible 207. Yeah, and the Mets handled their business. So they're 8 games behind the Phillies. The Braves are 8.5 games behind the Phillies. Half game behind the New York Metropolitans. You love to see it every single step of the way. Outside of all those guys I just mentioned, two more guys I want to highlight. So Trey Turner had a 2-hit game in the final game against the Dodgers in that series. He had 1 hit in the previous in game 2. He comes out last and he gets the big hit. Trey Turner, I want to shout out, and JT Realmuto, I want to shout out. JT Realmuto had not hit a home run since, I believe it was the 23rd of May. He had gone 22 games, because remember the long IL stint. He had gone 22 games without a home run before he got that slider at the top of the zone yesterday that he crushed to left center field for the 430-foot home run last night. Then he also got the double. After the game, they're talking to JT Realmuto, and he said, it feels like that was the first barrel I got since I came back from the IL. Come to think of it, I think it is the first barrel that he got since coming back from the IL. We talk about things like Brandon Marsh's catch as that little thing that can get you going in the right direction again. JT Realmuto had an RBI ground out in LA against the Dodgers that helped the Phillies on the comeback trail in game 2 of that series, I want to say it was. That might be that little thing that he needed to go his direction in order to get off the schneid. And to see him come up with not only a multi-hit game, because he has had one of those. He had a three-hit game the other night before they went out on this road trip. JT Realmuto getting the home run, I'm sure takes a huge weight off his shoulders. JT Realmuto being able to follow that up with back-to-back barrels for the home run and then the double, I'm sure really has to help his confidence. And they got 3 more games left coming up here against the Diamondbacks, a good baseball team, before they face the Nationals for a quick series back in Philadelphia. And then they go to they have a quick series at home here, quick homestand, I mean. And then they go on and face the Braves. So go ahead and prove to yourselves yet again that you're a good baseball team and keep proving it to yourself. 2 against Miami after they come home, and then 4 against the Nationals before going to Atlanta. So keep on doing their thing tonight. By the way, Zach Wheeler will get the start against Ryan Nelson of the Diamondbacks tonight. Focus in on that a little bit more in a second. In case you didn't see Team USA yesterday, this is why, and I'm so happy that I. Oh wait, hold on. Gave you Trey Turner. Gave you Trey Turner. Gave you JT Realmuto. There's one more shout out. Miss Scusi. There's one more shout out. Kyle Schwarber. And for those that watched the postcast last night, you know what I'm about to say. Kyle Schwarber, there's 2 storylines coming out of spring training this year. One storyline was win the division. Phillies are like, we're tired of being a wild card team. We're going to win the division. I remember JT Realmuto specifically talking about that. It was said often, but I remember JT saying it the most. And then the other storyline was Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber wanted to prove that he's better than a 197 hitter. 197 is what he hit last year with those 47 home runs. And he hit 3. His on base percentage was 343. So 197, 343. This year, Kyle Schwarber is hitting 263. Up from 197 to 263. And his on base percentage is up 50 points from 343 to 393 this season. 2 storylines that look pretty much proven. Phillies going to win the division. Phillies going to win the National League. Kyle Schwarber is not a 197 hitter. And here's my new term for Kyle Schwarber. He's a modern day leadoff hitter. That's what Kyle Schwarber is. He's a modern day leadoff hitter. So I wanted to make sure I shouted out Kyle Schwarber on the program today. Now, let's get to USA basketball. I am so glad that I have told you guys throughout this entire process, no, 0 pun intended, that Joel Embiid being benched or Joel Embiid not starting or Joel Embiid not playing doesn't matter. If you're going to have the reigning NBA champion Jason Tatum sitting on the bench for an entire game at the Olympics, then I don't care what happens with Joel Embiid and how much playing time he gets. Because he's going to have a moment. He's going to have more than one moment. He's going to have a few moments. And last night, he had a ginormous moment as Team USA found themselves down to Nikola Jokic and Serbia by 17 points. And who helped? the Team USA roar back into that game. The now native United States player, Joel Embiid, the process himself. 7 points in 2 minutes for Team USA as they helped him come back in that game to now win a bid for the gold medal as they'll take on France in France for the gold medal game. Joel Embiid hit threes. Joel Embiid posted up. Joel Embiid got out there. It was vintage Joel Embiid. The pump fake on Nikola Jokic, driving the lane in the fourth quarter, I believe it was, and throwing it down with great authority and then hitting the ground for a second and then getting up and playing. Like, that was vintage Joel Embiid. It felt like I was watching the NBA at that point. I did see Kevin Durant talking to the media after the game, and he said, I don't think he used the term bittersweet, but he kind of implied bittersweet. The thing that he got into was you're going to play for the gold medal, and then this team disappears. Like, yeah, you'll see these guys throughout the season. He goes, but this is the greatest team I've ever been on, and like the greatest locker room I've ever been in. And you're thinking about it, like you essentially have a 4-week all-star weekend where you're together with these guys, except you're playing with all of them. Like, that is pretty special. 500 points now internationally for Kevin Durant. That's pretty special. LeBron James, triple-double. That's pretty damn good. So look forward to all of it playing out the rest of the way for Team USA. Hey, let me tell you about MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Download the MyBookie app to your phone, create an account, use promo code Farzy, and get $20 off your first purchase at MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Excuse me. Get up to $1,000 redeemable cash bonus at MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Download the MyBookie app to your phone, create an account. You can bet on the world of the games. You can bet on the world of baseball. You can bet on it all at MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. You can even bet on the world of television. Who's going to end up with who? How does a show end? Who dies? How long do they make it? You can do it on MyBookie, mybookie.ag. So download the app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, and get up to $1,000 redeemable cash bonus at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. How about the Game Time app? Download the Game Time app to your phone, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase. So when the Phillies come back to town, you want to go to the game, use the incredible Game Time app. You could view your seat before you buy it, so you take the guesswork out of buying tickets with the Game Time app, and also the Game Time guarantee, my favorite thing. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less money elsewhere, the Game Time app will get you back at 110% of the difference. That's right, 110% of the difference on the Game Time app. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets and get the Game Time app. And let's not forget about the great discount you can get when you can buy tickets an hour after the event starts. So if you are going to the comedy show, if you are going to the concert, you know what you could do. You can download the app, you can create an account, and you can buy that ticket an hour after the event starts. You might miss the opening act, you might miss the middle, but you'll see that headliner at a great discounted rate on the incredible Game Time app. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs? That's PHLSportsNation.com. Team USA, by the way, I mentioned the LeBron James triple-double, Steph Curry. He's pretty good at basketball. 36 points. The next leading scorer after him, Joel Embiid. 8 for 11, 2 for 3 from 3, 19 points, 4 rebounds. What a bum. Oh, and 3 turnovers. Well, he clearly sucks. I kid. Joker last night, 17 points, 11 assists, 5 rebounds. 2 turnovers. That's what you got. All right, let's get into the chat check and see how wonderful people are doing on this fine morning. Let's see here. Is this coming up? There we go. What the hell is going on here? High Domination, what's going on? Good morning. IBH, what's popping? Slow computer today. Yes, he did. What, Nick Foles? Hells yeah. Good morning, Nick Foles. 9 will never be worn again. Great victory by my Phillies last night, says James Alexander. How can I compare prices on Game Time app from StubHub? Well, you just get rid of StubHub and you just use Game Time, so you don't even have to. Or you can just open both apps and compare. James Alexander, it was Chip Kelly that traded him. Chip Kelly is the most corrupted human being ever. I will never forget that. For Sam Bradford, like the confusion amongst everyone of like, what the hell are you thinking? Why are you making this? What? Hold on. Chip Kelly, stay with me, is trading for Sam Bradford? Like, it wasn't like he was trading for some incredibly mobile quarterback. He was trading for Sam Bradford. Huh? What? What? That seems dumb. Nick Foles, LaShawn McCoy, Deshaun Jackson. What the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing? Yeah, I'm not a Chip Kelly guy. Daz, what's going on? K. Raleigh, what's popping? WC13, Alshon the Mold Jeffrey. Who was it? Jacina Anderson. I have reports that Alshon Jeffrey's upset. Oh, do you? Is that what you have? Is that what Alshon told you? Who's your source? Well, it's Alshon. Oh, interesting. Another Phillies win yesterday. Noise. Hey, 4-1? 4-1 since the miraculous miracle of Marsh's catch against the Mariners. Including that game. 4-1. Hi, what's going on? Saying hi to Crowley. Hey, Chip Kelly and his stupid face. I don't know why his stupid face makes me laugh so damn hard, but in his stupid face, that makes me laugh hard. Eric Wisniewski, wish Nick Foles could have come back for one more season as a third quarterback and coach for Hurts. Yeah, that would have been great. I wonder if coaching is in his, because we've talked to Clay Harper before, friend of the show, and Clay has told stories about Nick Foles' preparation. Anyone that really loves to prepare like that, they have to have something in them that makes them want to coach. And I think Nick, I'm sure he's going to enjoy his family. I wonder if he'll get into coaching at some point. Did you see this exchange? You need the Cowboys to sign Dak Prescott. Did you see the exchange with Dak Prescott and the reporters? I think this was yesterday. They were asking him about the contract. And he's like, look, you guys get paid. I get paid. We all want more money. You guys get paid well to write headlines, but I can't let that affect me. And one of the reporters goes, who told you we got paid well? And Dak goes, yeah, you guys need to start holding out too. I was like, oh, damn it. I just got joy out of a quarterback for the Cowboys talking. I did laugh at that. Eric Wisniewski, I remember Chip era Foles was beating the Saints in the playoffs until he got hurt. Foles was beating the Saints in the playoffs until he got hurt. Which time? Oh, after the Super Bowl, I wanted the Eagles to keep Foles and trade Wentz. Oh, interesting. Sean Kilrain, question for everyone. Would you retire BDN number 9? You know what's crazy? Nick Foles has a statue. Now, I know technically it's a billboard for Bud Light, but it's still a statue at the stadium. His hands outside the stadium hoisting the Lombardi trophy. Do you retire Nick Foles number 9? It's a single-digit number. See, I don't even like retiring numbers, especially in football. But hell yeah, I'll retire number 9. First Super Bowl winning quarterback, outdueled Tom Brady. Hell yeah, man. Come on, son. Farzi, you should have said he deserves it. He does deserve to be on the top 10. It's a regret. I don't have many regrets, but that's a regret. That's a regret. Every throw was on the dot. Jason, hey, good morning. Nick Foles is the man and at least deserves his jersey to be retired. It's our first of it. Wait, it's our first. If it wasn't our first, it would be different. Oh, I understand what you're saying. Pretty sure the Eagles have unofficially retired it. Henry Stone, what's going on? He said he was humbled after the NFC win. That was special, not proud, humbled. What a beautiful human being. One of the things I'll never forget. So I referenced earlier how last year when everything was falling apart for the Eagles and Jalen Hurts, myself and a lot of other people looked to the Nick Foles end of the season in 2017 where the Eagles weren't playing great football by any means. And then they got it together. I'll never forget being in the press conference with Nick Foles and who did they just play? Was it the Bears? Oh man, it'll come to me. Anyway, he just kept on talking about how confident he was. I'm extremely confident. I'm very confident. I'm very confident in my ability. I'm confident, very confident in my ability. I'm confident I can do this. I'm confident that if I just keep playing, I'll be better. I'm confident. All that. I'm confident. I'm confident. I'm confident. And I remember thinking, why are you so confident? You're playing terrible right now. But he just was all about staying the course. And then he ended up balling out. How Nate Sudfeld was on the Eagles roster that long, I will never know. Gators own Miami. What's going on, man? How you doing? Gators own Miami. Yeah, Yo Farzi. I only know one person in Miami that would be hitting. Is this Armando? Maybe. Yo Farzi, you think we play the starters tonight? No. I think the weather's gonna be crap in Baltimore, and I don't think the starters play. Sean Gillespie, I remember almost all Eagles fans were despondent. I was a bundle of nerves during the Falcons game all the way to unparalleled joy. Good times. I didn't think they were going to beat the Falcons. And I said that. And some people still hold that against me. But I remember I was just in LA. They rolled the Rams. And I'm like, damn, they're coming here to Philly. Like, they don't give a damn about playing on the road. And I'm like, I don't feel good about this. I don't feel good about this. Foles has been playing like crap. I don't feel good about this. And then Nick Foles threw that ball off Keanu Neal's knee, deflected to Torrey Smith, and then that helped the Eagles get in line, I think, for a field goal before halftime. Pretty incredible. They had not run that play, but gotten Alshon Jeffrey down the sideline to get in field goal range a couple times leading up to that during the season. Still haven't watched the game again. A 3-year window. If like starters, like no proven starter will play, I don't think, but Steen and Mekhi Becton will probably get some reps tonight. Ooh, yeah, that's right, April. Good morning, April. That explains why Sweat couldn't get number 9. Phillies have to pick it up. Can someone please explain to me why in the world Embiid is always at the 3-point line instead of manning the middle of the paint? That's his game. That's how he does it. Thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are phenomenal. Okay, Raleigh, I never quit on Harper. I just said he has to play better. Yeah, that's fair. How about that hustle double from him last night? That's great. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are great, as per usual. Let's get to the morning rush brought to by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Phillies back at it tonight. 9:40 start time against the Diamondbacks. You're going to have Zach Wheeler tonight against Ryan Nelson of the D-backs. 7:30 kickoff. Ravens and Eagles. preseason football. Look forward to it all. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody. Catch you guys tonight on the postcast. Bye.